What do you think? NBA offseason, Miami Heat. Where are we at, my brother?
I mean,
Talk to him.
I ain't gonna say the Heat. I'm gonna say us.
Yeah.
We healthy.
Okay.
First and foremost, health is wealth. You know what I'm saying? You can't do nothing without health and without being a healthy team. So, first and foremost, we're healthy right now. Duncan is healthy. Tyler is healthy. Who else? Jimmy is healthy. Terry is healthy. So we got our guys back. And then we got some young talent. Jaime is back. You know what I'm saying? Expecting him to be better this year. Haywood Highsmith is, somebody who's going to fill a bigger void this year now that we lost Caleb. We understand, what's expected of Bam, to be our leader on both ends of the basketball court. And then we got Lasposha, baby. You know what time it is.
Hey.
You already know what time it is, man. So, I'm looking for the Heat to be right back in the playoffs. And once again, they count us out, but, we ain't worried about that. We just got work to do. We're going to chip away at it every day.
I'm gonna tap in one more time because we heard the Miami Heat. New look Eastern Conference.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Obviously, Boston Celtics champions.
Yes.
Your favorite team in America.
Let me say something to this. Let me say something to this.
The Knicks, Orlando. What are we talking about?
Let me say something to this, though. And because recently, you say that's my favorite team in the world, the Boston Celtics, but I'm going to tell you how real I am. Recently, there was a poll that came out on the top 10, the top coaches in the NBA. And they had Joe Mazzulla number 11. It ain't 10 coaches in that league better than Joe Mazzulla. So you can say that that's my favorite team and all that. And I got my thing with Boston, but I'm real now. I'm real. It ain't 10 coaches in the league that's better than Joe Mazzulla. I disagree with that.
Let me help you out real quick, because the stuff you said with Miami is the tension inside of the war of 7-game series, and the fact that they're great and Miami was great in the match. You're always gonna keep it real now.
Yeah. So sure. I think that's that. I don't see 10 coaches on there better than Joe Mazzulla, and I ain't picking and choosing who come out of that. But I know Joe Mazzulla definitely should be in the top 8 at least.
The 10 coaches ahead of him better have championships. I'll tell you that much.
I ain't getting into that, killer. I'm just saying. All of them don't.
That's what you coach for.
All of them don't. But once again, I ain't picking and choosing who should come out. But I'm just saying, they ain't 10 coaches in this league better than Joe Mazzulla. So regardless of the rivalry between the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics, real is real.
UD, what the man say? You play to win the game.
The man has done his job and then some. So you got to give him credit where credit's due, dog.
So talk to me though. You out into Boston, which I appreciate. New York Knicks, Boston Celtics,
impressive.
Philadelphia 76ers, Orlando, all made good moves in the offseason. What can we expect in the East?
I mean, I love the fact that New York brought in Mikal Bridges. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's one of those guys that plays every night. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to cry for shots. He's not going to cry for his role, but he's going to impact winning. You know what I'm saying? So you put him on the court with a guy like Josh Hart. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure that they're not, guarding every, guy on the court. They can take any matchup. They can switch 1 through 5 a lot of times. They rebound their ass off. They knocking down open shots. Josh Hart is getting better with his shot, the way he's shooting the basketball. So I love what New York's doing. Also, you get Julius Randle back. I think with New York, they're just going to have to understand, what the chemistry is going to be like. They got to figure that out. The rotations and, playing together and just feeling good out there on the basketball court. You know how that goes, the mental part of it. But, I love those moves that they made. You know what I'm saying? I think losing Hartenstein might hurt. He was tough. He got to it. You know what I'm saying? He was tough. Mm-hmm. As far as Philly, man, I love Paul George, man. Philly was, I think, 20-something in the league on catch and shoot threes. Paul George shoot the clip, catch and shoot 42%. So he definitely can help that team. I see him coming off a pick and roll with Joel Embiid and then throwing it back to Tyrese Maxey. You come off a pick and roll with Joel Embiid, you let Paul George get to that pull-up, that's money. If you don't, he can either flare and throw it back to the big fella, or the big fella can roll to the basket. You can have Tyrese Maxey pulling around. You throw it back to Tyrese Maxey. Who's closing out on him? If you close out, he going by you. If you don't close out, he's shooting the ball. So I see the moves that Philly has made, and offensively, I'm encouraged, but defensively, I don't know. Once again, I think Joel Embiid has habits that he needs to figure out. You know what I'm saying? Is he the greatest player in the NBA? It's a question. But if he had the good habits that I think he should have, or if he had better habits, it wouldn't be a question who's the best player in the NBA, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. No, the East is going to be fun.
Yeah, because
you got a couple of young teams that are going to get better.
Because the playoffs,
some pieces.
The playoffs has a way of revealing what's really inside you. And in a 7-game series, if you got bad habits, it's going to show. If you out of shape, it's going to show. All that's going to show in the playoffs. You can't hide that.
All that being said, early predictions, East.
I mean, you got to go with the Boston Celtics and the Miami Heat, in my opinion, a healthy Miami Heat, because in the last 4 to 6 years, it's been a healthy Miami Heat and a healthy Boston Celtics team. Milwaukee got in there and they got one, shout out to them, but it's been between us. If we healthy, I like us against anybody in the East, man, and I'm going to just keep saying that. But you got to give credit where credit due. Boston took care of business. They won the games they supposed to win, but also look out for Indiana. Also look out for Indiana. I don't think what they did last year was a fluke. And once again, when we talked to JJ, that whole series in Boston could have went differently if they win game 1 in Boston. We don't know how that series goes.
West.
Whew. Ha. That's interesting because I love Denver. I love Joker. Wasn't very much going on in the offseason for them. So, you don't know how that's going to go because, you would hope that they would get better. You would hope that they would fill a couple voids. But they're well coached. They got a veteran group of guys, and they got championship heart in that locker room. You know what I'm saying? And their leader is a you know what I'm saying? Their leader is a so you can never count Denver out. Never in a million years. I would hope that Sacramento will be better this year because everybody expected them to have a better year last year because of the way they played 2 years ago, and it just didn't happen. De'Aaron Fox, some injuries there. But taking in DeMar DeRozan, I would hope that would help them, that they would get better. Minnesota is definitely, they are who they are. Ant-Man is a dog. He's a monster. I think he's figured out a way to, for his personality to translate, throughout those guys in that locker room, and his belief and that the way he believes and the way he carries himself. I think that kind of leadership, if you can get 14, 15 guys to feel the way you feel and believe the way you believe, and I think he's gotten those guys to do that. Do they have enough? I don't know. We have to see with that. But I think they have a hell of a leader. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And Memphis, to me, that's the biggest question mark. And it's not because they can't do it. It's because now they got all the pieces back. There's no excuses.
Yeah, essentially they had one of the biggest off seasons because guys are just healthy.
Yeah,
not
exactly.
acquisitions, they're bringing people in, but they're healthy.
Exactly.
And Zach Edey,
Bane's gonna be healthy.
12's back.
Bane's healthy. Ja's coming back. You know what I'm saying? They got Zach Edey. You know what I mean? The little light skin, quick off his feet, hop 4 or 5 times in 2 seconds. He's back. You know what I'm saying? I forget his name. No disrespect, young fella. Brandon Clark. I love your game too. There ain't no disrespect. Brandon Clark's back. I like what he does for them. So Memphis is a big question mark, but it's not because we don't know what they got. We know what they got. It's just like now, okay, we got to put it back together again, and there's no excuses. You know what I mean? Klay with the Mavs.
Let me tell you something.
Whew. What about that, Killer? Let me ask you about that. Klay with the Mavs. What you got to say about that?
No. The Klay with the Mavs is one of the most interesting storylines coming into it because he's had such an unbelievable career playing a certain style with the Golden State, the way they play and how he was so valuable in that,
yes.
Right? Does that translate now into Dallas? Because Luka and Kyrie are different than the system.
In Golden State. In Golden State, the ball finds energy. And in Dallas, that's just not the case. You know what I mean? You have
that
two guys.
Can be awesome.
Yeah, you got 2 guys that dominates the ball, but they have to be accountable and make the right plays at the right time. You know what I'm saying? So, to whom much is given, much is required. They got the keys to the car. They're going to dominate the basketball, but they got to make plays and get other guys involved. So, I think they understand that. And when you got a Klay Thompson, you cannot ignore Klay Thompson. You can't.